This video is presented by Sailrite.
Hi, I'm Matt Grant with Sailrite, and we're going to do segment 2, or I guess what you could call Zippers 102. And this technique that I'm going to show you is the bind and slit approach. And again, I'm going to do it on just scrap material. It's the principles that we just want you to be aware of. A good portion of what I'm going to do is just going to be done in double speed here without any narration.
In order to demonstrate the bind and slit approach to this zipper installation, we need to take some scrap material and build a mock-up of an enclosure panel. So we're going to show that here in double time.
Slow down, Eric, there for a second. I should have gotten that stitch closer to the edge, but probably right about half as close to the edge as it is now. But for what we're doing, that's no big deal. That's more like it. That's more where the stitch should be, next to the edge. Okay. That's just a standard facing approach, putting a facing on both sides of the material with the widest portion of the hem toward the top edge, because that's typically where your fasteners would go or where your zipper would be installed for attaching a side panel. Now on the bottom, I'm going to flip this over so that the raw edge is exposed, and I'm going to hem the bottom edge. Nothing fancy here, I'm just going to hem it by eye, roughly a 1.5 inch hem there. Okay, our mock enclosure panel is done, and after working that fast, I'm really tired. I could take a nap right now, but I won't. What we'll do is now we're going to show how to install that zipper. So let's come back over here. So this is the bind and slit approach, and let's say we wanted a zipper right down the center here. I'm going to use my soapstone pencil to mark the face of my material. So this is the outside surface. And I'm going to mark the glass with a grease pencil. And I've marked those pretty heavy because I want you to be able to see the lines. I probably wouldn't mark them that heavy on the real project. Although these will wash away and this would rub off the glass. That's the reason you use grease on smooth, non-porous materials, and use soapstone on more coarse, textured, or woven materials. Now, once we have that, what we need is a finished number 10 zipper, and I'm going to go with, looks like about 24 incher. So here's our number 10 24-inch finished zipper, and I like to use finished zippers. It just ends up looking cleaner through this approach, and I'll show you that as we get to it. Also, I'm getting a double pull slider because I want to be able to open my slit on both the inside and the outside of my enclosure panel. So first thing we want to do is we want to size our zipper. And to size the zipper, I'm going to go ahead and close it. And what we're going to be doing is on the inside, okay, the side that is unfinished, as you can see from the semi-flat fold or felled seam here, we are going to position our zipper just above the facing about an inch or so, and then we're going to have our zipper stop right at the bottom of our enclosure piece, and that's where it's going to get cut. Okay, and I'm jumping ahead of myself. I'm going to set the zipper aside. We have our cut mark. Now I'm going to come back to my enclosure panel, and I'm going to grab my 3/4 inch binding, and we're going to put that bind because it's a bind and slit approach. So a binding has a 2-edge turn. You can see that the edges are turned under on each side, giving a finished edge. We're going to cut a nice true edge to our binding, and then we're going to position that so that it would go just under the facing here at the top, and then come down, and we want it to be a little bit long, maybe a 1/2 inch long or so, and cut it there. So I need 2 pieces of that binding. Again, this is the 3/4 inch binding. Okay. And now we are going to use our 1/4 inch basting tape. And we're going to put basting tape, this is a double stick tape, and we're going to put that along one edge of the binding. And we're going to do that with the other piece. Okay. And now what we want to do is we'll strip the protective paper from the adhesive, revealing the glue, and we're going to position one strip right under that edging of the facing. So I'm going to have to peel this up some here. Eric, I want to make sure you can see that there. I'm peeling it up, and I'm going to position it right under that edge to conceal that edge. And now my basting tape is to the outside. So basting tape is on that side of the binding. And I'm just going to very carefully run this down and along my line here and let it run right off the edge, like so. Now I come back with the other piece, and I'm going to do the exact same thing on the opposite side. So I'm going to get it started under the edge. There we go. And then now I'm going to join the crease there and run that all the way down and off the edge. Okay. And that is that's the bind approach. That's going to form the slit that opens the zipper when we're done. Once we have that part done, we need to come back through and we need to put a stitch right along the inner edge of both pieces of the binding. So we're going to come over to the sewing machine and we're going to do that next. We don't need our magnetic guide, which is a super handy device. And what we want to do is we want to start right at basically the stitch line for our facing material. And I like to do this section by hand a little bit. I'm going to put a forward stitch in and then reverse it a stitch, come down in, and then go forward again. Maybe do that a couple times, just give it a nice neat button lock stitch there, if you will. And now I just guide it right along that edge, about 1/8 of an inch inside that edge, maybe a little more. And you carry that down, and I'm going to tuck under my little edge at the bottom, and then reverse. Okay. Now I come back and do the exact same thing on the opposite side. As we get toward the end here, I'm going to prepare to bend this under. And I probably could have left those a little bit longer. I didn't leave myself much of a tail to bend under there, but it'll still work. Yeah. I'm going to fold that under a little. Might have to use some basting tape on that at some point to get it to stay under there. We'll address that when we go to put the zipper on. Okay, so we've got our stitch line on the inside of the binding on both sides. Now we're going to flip this over, and here's where we install the zipper. So we'll go back to what we were doing before. Here's our zipper. We already determined where we want to cut it. I'm just going to cut off the end that closes last, not the starting end that closes last. And I'm going to go ahead and heat seal these edges a little bit. Now, this is a finished zipper, and this is the form that I want it in. But if I had made a mistake and pulled it apart, not to fear, just take my slider off my scrap. By the way, those are the stops that we cut off. We're going to have to put something similar back on when we're done, but we're getting rid of those. And all I would do to put this zipper back together again is feed the slider on in reverse from the cut end. And trust me, everything is harder and looks harder when you're trying to do it while somebody's videoing you, but this is not difficult. Get it up to the top, slide my starting pin in, and now I can zip my zipper back together. And I don't want the slider on for what I'm going to do next, so I just slide it all the way off and set it aside. Now, basically what we're going to do at this point is we are going to put the zipper over the binding, and you can see how the width of the zipper tape matches the width of the binding perfectly. So when I have this sewn in place, I won't see any of the white zipper tape on the outside of my enclosure. And we just want this portion to hang loose about an inch above our stitch line start, which is roughly how we figured to finish the bottom edge. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to put basting tape on the very outer edges of the fabric zipper flange, and we're going to use 1/4 inch basting tape to do that. Okay, so we have our zipper, and now we're going to put our basting tape, 1/4 inch basting tape this time, right along the fabric edge of the zipper. And we don't have to go all the way to the top, because remember, we're going to have about an inch hanging free up at the top. And we come down the other side. Yeah, we're keeping the double stick tape away from the teeth so that the slider doesn't hang up on any of the tape residue, the adhesive residue. And we basically then just peel the tape, which leaves the adhesive exposed. And now we're going to flip this assembly over, and we'll start it up top here, but make sure that the bottom, actually I'm going to start at the bottom here. So I'm going to start it right where I want it, and I'm using the binding here as an example since I can't see through this umbrella. And then I'm going to get it lined up over the binding on the back side, or on the outside surface, and just bring this up like so, and flatten that out. If we're not happy with anything, we can just lift this a little bit and reposition it. Now we come back to our sewing machine, and where I want to sew here is I'm going to sew with the zipper up so that I can sew right along the edge of the tooth. And I want to come back and I want to sew right at my old stitch line here again, and right along the edge of the zipper tape. So I'm going to do my single stitch a couple times and then continue. Make sure that's staying tucked. Okay. Trim our threads, and now we come back and we do the exact same thing up the opposite side. Okay. And what we're going to end up with then is the binding is sewn down on this side. And I'll trim my stitches here. Now what we would do at this point would be, we've done the bind, now we've got to do the slit. So what we're going to do is we're going to open our zipper. And to open the zipper, I just start pulling the teeth apart. And I'm going to open those all the way up to the top. And pull the pin from the box. And now on this side, I'm going to get my scissors. I'm spreading the zipper open on the back side, so I'm not cutting the zipper teeth. I don't want to cut the zipper teeth. On this side, I want to cut right between the edges of the binding without cutting the binding. Okay. When you get to the thick parts where you've got lots of material, that's where you really need to concentrate on spreading the zipper out down below so that you're not cutting it. Now I'm in the glass. And I'm going to cut this all the way up to the facing, the bottom edge of the facing. Not into the facing, just right at the bottom edge. And there's my slit for my zipper. Nicely finished looking zipper. Now I can put my slider back on. And this is a double pull slider, so it doesn't matter which way I put it on. And what I'm going to do to put it on is I'm going to slide it on backwards on the side that has the box. So I just simply slide the teeth into that half of the slider. Yeah. Okay, yeah, this is a locking slider, so I've got to pull up on the, got to pull out on one of these tabs here to undo the lock to do it, which is what I did there. Slide it up. Now I can come back and I can work my, this is why you want to leave a little extra material here. I can work my starting pin into my zipper here, like so. Okay, and now I can pull it back to close the zipper. Whoops. And what I did there is I pulled it all the way off because I didn't have my stop in position. So now I'd have to do that process over again, or to put the slider on, well, the zipper's already together, I'm going to put it on backwards again. And I get it on there, but I pull the zipper teeth apart a little bit, and then I push it. Gotta grab that slider. There you go. And now we're on. So my slider's back in place. And now what I need to do is I need to put stops on the bottom end here. Okay, so these top stops, they call them, which we're using basically as the bottom stop, if you will. you put it on whichever tooth you want to stop. I'm going to go third tooth up. And you just basically put it over the tooth and then crimp it down over the tooth. And needle nose pliers might actually make it a little bit easier, but this is what we had handy. And so I'm going to go over this tooth. Good. Okay, so there's our stops. Pull this down. Zipper can't come off. Turn it around. And got a bump there from our glass. Pull it up. Zipper slider can't come off at the top because it can't go past this point. Now, if you wanted to make absolutely certain that this won't come off by having the slider slide underneath here, what we would do, since we have a sewing machine that can do it, is we would come back here with our machine and we're just going to stitch right over this area. Go slowly when you get to the teeth because we're going to punch right through those teeth. And now back up, and you can back slowly into them too. You just have to go nice and slow when you're at the teeth. And now we've created a very secure top end of that. We've essentially eliminated the purpose of the finished zipper, but we've made it impossible for the slider to pass that edge. So no matter what I do at this point, when I slide this up, it's not coming undone. So I can open my enclosure panel and then close my enclosure panel. And that's all there is to the bind and slit zipper approach. All right, that was segment 2 of our series on zippers. And I wanted to mention one more thing about this type of zipper. The reason that this approach can be useful, unlike the fold under approach that we showed earlier, is that you can take a panel that is of a certain size and install a zipper and slit it without having to remove material to create the folds for the zipper installation. So if I had tried the fold under approach here, let's just assume I had cut this first, so this was cut, and now I wanted to install a zipper by folding this under. If I fold under this side with my zipper and fold under this side with my zipper, now when I pull it together, I've lost those folds in the width of the material. So I end up not being able to maintain my panel size and shape after installation of the zipper. So that's the reason this is an important technique to understand. All right, till the next video, thanks for your time.
There are more of these zipper installation videos to come in the series. Be sure to watch the Sailrite website or subscribe to the Sailrite YouTube channel today. It's your loyal patronage to Sailrite that makes these free videos available. Thanks for your support.